Hi there, and welcome to another episode of A Conversation with Father Orsi. I'm B.C. Cloutier, President of Action for Life, and this is my friend, Father Michael Orsi. Well, another lovely day, Father.
And in the neighborhood.
I'm going to surprise you today.
All right, surprise.
We talk about, as you well know, we talk about various subjects on this program. And it occurred to me that a lot of people know you, but they don't know you. And
is that good or bad?
I think much of the audience knows that you sort of retired, but the truth is you haven't retired. You're busy still saying masses and visiting people in the hospital and doing funerals and weddings and all that sort of thing. I thought it would be kind of interesting for the audience to get to know you a little bit better, if that's okay.
All right.
So, Father, I think there's a really cool story about one time I remember asking you about your discernment for the priesthood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I said, I didn't have to do too much discerning. Discernment in my mind is rather a new thing. I'm going to the seminary to discern whether or not I have a vocation, and it's like, I'm not sure. Let me think this thing through. God hasn't made things very clear to me. Well, when I went to the seminary, me and my classmates. Now remember, I'm going to be a priest almost 50 years, all right? So you got to figure, at least for a lot of years before that, you go into the seminary. You just don't start. We didn't start. We started 8 years ahead before your ordination.
Okay.
And when we went, we were all on the same page. The idea was, I want to be a priest.
But didn't you tell me that you were, an altar boy, 12 or 13 years old, and you knew, right?
But that's how it starts. But there was no question in our mind as to what we wanted. We want to be a priest. And they used to tell us at the seminary, we will tell you if you don't have a vocation.
Interesting.
All right? We will tell you if you don't have a vocation. Mm-hmm. And many people, men in those days, they were dismissed. You don't have a vocation. Also, the person themselves, having, been in the seminary, they might decide, hey, this is not for me. Mm-hmm. But you went in there with the intention of being a priest, and that gave you a certain camaraderie, a certain esprit de corps, you would say. We're all on the same page. We all want the same thing. Now, when, does this feeling or inspiration come to someone that they decide that, yes, this is what I want. And in my case, and in the case of my classmates, it probably started, in my case, very young. I think maybe I was, 7 or 8 years old, maybe.
That young? Wow.
Yeah. Because there were a couple of things. The first thing was we had wonderful priests in our parish. And we had a very, very big parish. Mm-hmm. And we had 5 priests. And, if one personality didn't fit you, there was always somebody else.
Right, sure.
And you had some wonderful young priests, and you wanted to be like them. Folks, the priests in the parish make a big difference insofar as vocations go. Big difference, okay? The second thing is this. I think I told you the story. Every Christmas, my parents would watch Going My Way with Bing Crosby.
Yeah.
And when Bing was leaving his parish, Father O'Malley gave his farewell sermon. And at the end, he said, and remember, if you ever need a friend, just dial O for O'Malley. And I said, no, Orsi. And that did it. And believe me, that did it. And I knew from that moment that I wanted to be a priest.
Well, I'm sure glad that I can dial. Now, tell me about your career path. You grew up in Brooklyn. And then moved to Jersey?
Then moved to Jersey, and I went to the seminary in Philadelphia.
Okay.
St. Charles Borromeo in Philadelphia. And I really enjoyed it. I really had a good time at St. Charles.
How many guys were in your seminary class?
My class, let's see. I guess there were we started off with about 50.
Wow.
or 60, maybe 60. I can't remember them all because they didn't all last through the 4 years. You
Right,
know,
sure. Yeah.
there was a drop off.
Yep.
But I think about 35 of us were ordained in those
Wow.
days. And the seminary was great because, first of all, I enjoyed the education and some very good professors. I enjoyed the friendships that you had there. You always had somebody to talk to or somebody to play ball with. We had a beautiful swimming pool at the seminary, a beautiful library. We weren't too far away from Philadelphia that you could take the train in, the train right into Philly and go to a play or go to a concert or to a conference. It was wonderful. Plus, you had 3 square meals a day, and you could eat as much as you wanted.
It occurs to me that the seminary was very similar to the military.
Yeah.
With, the camaraderie.
Right.
And
And they used to say, you keep the rule and the rule will keep you. And then sometimes, there would be guys that they decided it's not for them and
sure.
they would leave. And we also had some guys that the decision was made for them. Whatever happened to Tony Bacigalupi? Oh, yeah.
So then after seminary, you became a parish priest, is that right?
Yeah. I was a priest in the Diocese of Camden, New Jersey. They sponsored me to go to St. Charles. And my first assignment was in a place called Haddon Heights. And the bishop there was Bishop James Shadd. And so he was my first pastor. And he was a tough taskmaster. But you know what? At the time, I didn't like him. But as years went by, I like him.
Yeah,
I like him. He made me very much aware that I was responsible for the parish and for the people of the parish. And son, and he would call me son, how many people did you visit today? Yeah. And you have to show them the names of who you went to see.
Really?
Yeah. Now, in those days, people were home.
Sure.
You can't do that anymore. I mean, there's nobody home. But, go visit this person, go visit that person. Mrs. So-and-so is in the hospital. Go over to the hospital. And from that time on, I realized that you had to have a connection with your people. You had to have a connection with your people. And
which you do.
well, I try to, and and you have to love them. And you have to really love your people. And we had a school. And I'd go over to the school every day and see the kids. And I remember somebody gave me a pastor friend of mine. He passed away, and his family gave me his cape. I remember the big black cape, and I would put that big black cape on over my cassock. I've always, tried to wear the cassock. I would say that's important. And the kids would come running under the cape. Hey, here comes Zorro. And some of them still remember that. And then I moved on from there, and I was sent into high school work. And I didn't really want to go to high school. I said, come on, Bishop. I mean, I didn't like high school when I was in high school. I mean, what did I want to do with these kids? But anyway, I went and I spent 7 or 8 years
teaching.
I taught religion. And then I was the chaplain.
Yep.
And I spent 7 or 8 years down at a place called Wildwood Catholic. So for those of you who are from South Jersey or from New Jersey or from Philly, you know the Jersey Shore. And I had a marvelous time and just enjoyed every minute of it. The kids were great. I still have some of them give me a call and, hey, are you available? We'd like to come to see you. I have one of the women. She's not 16 anymore. She must be, maybe she's 60. I don't know. But she'll often bring me a care package. She cooks for me.
Nice.
But it goes way back, all those years. And they never forget you. You make an impression on young people, and it stays with them the rest of their lives. So that ministry, that high school ministry for priests to be there, nuns to be there, it is very, very important.
And what was next? I know you got a couple of master's degrees in the process.
Well, what happened then was the bishop wanted me to become the principal of a high school. So I had to get a degree. He wanted me to get a master's degree in educational administration.
Okay.
So I went to Fordham for that, and I got that degree.
Lived in the city.
Yep. I got that degree. And then after I got the master's degree, the dean of the school, his name was Max Weiner. He was the dean of the School of Education at Fordham University. And I have Max's picture up in my room in my house because he called me one day and he said to me, what are you doing? What are you doing next year? I said, well, I got to go back to the diocese because the bishop has a high school waiting for me. So he says to me, what, a smart guy like you, a smart boy like you, he's going to send you back? You should get the doctorate. So I said to him, well, Dean, I said, thank you very much. I said, but he's not going to pay for it, and he wants me back. He's got a high school waiting for me. So he goes, what's his phone number? Yeah. Now, this was, folks, this was a Jewish man taking care of a Catholic priest. So anybody that's anti-Semitic, you're going to get a knuckle sandwich from me, okay? And he calls up the bishop and he says to the bishop, look, bishop, he says, I got this priest over here. He's done very, very well. I think he should stay for the doctorate. And the bishop said, well, I really can't afford to leave him there, for another couple of years and at the cost and blah, 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 blah. The dean says, don't worry about it. He's got a scholarship and I'll give him a stipend besides.
Wow.
And so I found out, well, the bishop, maybe he was Jewish too. He says, that's a good deal. That's a good deal. Right? And I stayed and I got the doctorate. So after that, I go back after 2 years. It took me 2 years to get the doctorate. I went to bishop and I said to him, I said, I want to talk to you, I want to tell you what I want you to do. And he made me the head of the family life, in those days called the Family Life Bureau, that took care of marriage preparation, but took care of a number of other things that no other department was going to be able to handle. And I stayed there for about 7 or 8 years.
All right, hold that thought.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back and we'll talk more with Father Orsi. Action for Life is proud to sponsor a conversation with Father Orsi. Action for Life is an all-volunteer, pro-life, interfaith ministry that's focused on the sanctity of life from conception to natural death. In addition to sponsoring this TV program, Action for Life provides financial support and life assistance to any woman who wishes to carry her baby to term in anticipation of an adoption. Action for Life also provides financial assistance to a variety of pro-life organizations, including maternity homes, pregnancy resource centers, anti-human trafficking agencies, and sidewalk advocates, but to name a few. Please consider making a donation so that we can continue in the fight to save preborn babies. You can donate online at actionforlife.org. Thank you and God bless. Welcome back to a conversation with Father Orsi. I'm B.C. Cloutier. So, Father, we were going down memory lane here,
Yes.
and I think at this point you are doing family life at the Diocese of Camden, New Jersey.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And as I said, I stayed there, I guess, 7 or 8 years. It seems like, I have the 7-year itch. I got to move on, or they get rid of me after 7 years. That's about all they could take of me. And after that, I was made an offer to go to Ave Maria Law School. And not because I was a lawyer, although I had a little bit of familiarity with the law regarding education law, and a little bit of familiarity with torts, which means like if somebody slips down the church steps, what do you do? And so I had a little bit of a sense of things, but certainly no lawyer. And the dean at the time called me up and says, I'd like you to come out here. And those days it was in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Yep.
He says, could you come out here? I'd like to talk to you. I had met him at a previous conference with some professors. And the conference had to do with Thomas Aquinas and the natural law. So I thought he was just being nice to me. And I said, well, I guess I have to ask the bishop. I said, what do you want me to do? He says, well, I think you'd make a very good chaplain for us. And I'll also make you a research fellow in law and religion. So then I said to the bishop, look, this offer came. I won't go, unless, you tell me I can. So he says to me, go find out what it's all about. And I did. I came back. The offer was made. And then I spent 14 years at the law school.
First in Ann Arbor and then in Naples.
Yes, right. Now, the wonderful thing about that was I got to meet some very wonderful people. Again, many of the students are still, friends of mine, personal friends of mine. I have attorneys everywhere. I have more attorneys than Donald Trump.
You may have to loan him a couple.
So anyway, I said to the dean, Dean, if I'm this research fellow, I said, I think I should start taking the classes for the lawyers, what we call the doctrinal classes. And I did. And so for the first maybe 2 years, I took all the doctrinal classes for law. Now, I don't have a law degree, but I took the classes. Mm-hmm. All right. And I have a little bit of a facility as to, how do you apply tort? How do you apply property? What do you do in the case of criminal law? I have some kind of at least a familiarity with that. Folks, you don't want me to be your attorney, but I can tell you who to go to. I can tell you who to go to. So I was tremendously enriched by that experience. And I finally got to the point that I was helping students. I was on the committee that helped them to produce law review notes. Mm-hmm. And I had a couple of students who I guided through the process, law review. They got published and they gave me recognition for my help regarding whatever topic that they were discussing.
And then the parish came calling.
And then, I guess 10 years ago, there was an invitation extended to me.
And Saint Agnes was about 3 or 4 years old at that time, if my numbers are right.
Yeah, let's see, Saint Agnes, I don't know how old, the church itself, the church. I think the parish itself was about 20 years old, maybe.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think so. But the church was maybe, when I got there, maybe 5 years old. Well, I don't remember those numbers. But I realized it was time. It was time to go back to a parish, because my heart has always been in the parish. If you're a parish priest, your heart is with that parish. It's with the people. Those people become your people.
Sure.
They become your people. They're your friends. They're your aunts. They're your uncles. They're your children. And they become your family. And believe it or not, you take care of them, but they also take care of you. They take care of you. So any priest that is in a parish, it is the most, in my opinion, of all the things that I have done, the parish was the most enriching experience for me. Now, I've been blessed. I've had many other experiences, and you bring that with you to the parish.
Sure.
So, the law school career, the high school career, the Fordham University career, all of those things, make you, I think, a better priest and a more sensitive person, and a person that's able to deal with people on numerous levels. Mm-hmm. So I've been extremely blessed.
Well, that's good. We're going to take a break.
Okay.
You're going to continue to be blessed, Father.
Thank
we'll
you.
Be back right after this.
Hi, folks. Over the weeks, you have become more and more familiar with our program, Conversations with Father Orsi. I know that you are enjoying the programs because you tell me that you do. I want you to be sure that you should never worry about missing an episode, because you can go to actionforlife.org and catch all of the episodes that we have produced over the last year. Now, also, extra added bonus, you can watch my homilies, my weekly homilies about the Sunday readings. That's also on actionforlife.org. Lastly, both of these adventures, conversations and the homilies, they cost money. And I'm going to have to ask you if you can help us out, because so many of you tell me how much you enjoy the program. Some people tell me our Sunday wouldn't be the same. We record the program, we watch them during the week. This is an expensive enterprise, and we think it's an important way to get out the gospel message and to talk about those issues of the day that are important to us as Christians. So please go to your website, actionforlife.org. There is a button you can click for donations, and please be generous to us to keep this show on the air. Your Sundays will not be the same without it.
Welcome back to A Conversation with Father Orsi. I'm BC Cloutier. Father, you recently retired from Saint Agnes, but that doesn't mean you retired from the priesthood.
Right.
I know that you, as is the case with most parish priests, were just pretty much going 24/7 with one thing or another. And I'm sure there's a decompression period here where you say, gee whiz, but I also know, because we're friendly, that you're very busy as it is with new or continuing endeavors, as the case may be.
Right.
Maybe we can talk about St. Matthew's House, and then we can talk about Action for Light.
Yeah, sure.
Because you are integral to both of those organizations.
Thank you. First of all, let me say that when people say you retired, I say, well, first of all, I don't like thinking of myself as retired. I think only old people do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I said, no, I am retreaded. And what does it mean for a priest? First of all, once a priest, always a priest, because it's one of those character sacraments, baptism, confirmation, and priesthood, where an indelible mark is placed on the soul, and it can never, ever, ever be taken away. Even if in some way you decide, I don't want to be a priest anymore, you're still a priest. That mark is always on your soul. Now, what does a retired, in quotes, retired priest do? Well, can do everything and nothing. And I'm the everything type, okay? First of all, some men, just can't go it for a certain period of time. They're sick, they're tired. Well, I'm not sick and I'm not tired. And there are so many other things that I want to do. Now, I preface that because I'm still doing priestly things. I'm saying Mass. I like to say Mass. I like to have Mass every day. I'm saying Mass on Sunday. I'm hearing confessions. I'm doing funerals. I'm doing baptisms. So the priestly stuff, the sacramental work, I am continuing to do. Once a priest, always a priest, right? Secondly, this retreading has given me a little more time to do some of the things that I think I didn't have time to do before. Why? Because you're in an office and you're doing a lot of things that, parish priest has to do. Sometimes it's, simply meetings or in some way, some kind of administrative work. And, or, you're tied down for, the day, whatever the case may be. I have time now to do some of those things that I think are very important to me personally. The first thing is that it gives me a lot more time for St. Matthew's House. And folks, if you're here in Naples and you're in Lee County, you know about St. Matthew's House. And my heart has always been there because it services the needs of those who are poor. And that's one of the key things of the gospel, to take care of the poor. When I was hungry, you gave me to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me to drink, And then Jesus goes so far as to say, and if you didn't do it, you're going to hell. If you did do it, you're going to go to heaven. So, folks, I want to go to heaven. So I want to go up. I think,
me too.
Yeah. So for me, being at St. Mass is just a wonderful, wonderful experience.
It's an unbelievable charity. I mean, the people that don't know about St. Matthew's don't really understand the scope of the services they provide and the souls that they save.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Great organization.
So it's not just about feeding and all that, important stuff too, but it's all about the spiritual life of people because it's a faith-based organization. It's not just say, hey, I gave somebody a sandwich, I gave them a cot, but it's, I gave them, the gospel. I talked to them about Jesus and I gave them an opportunity to find themselves all over again, to give their life new meaning and new purpose, and a restoration to society, a restoration to themselves, because they're alienated oftentimes from themselves and from other people. So St. Matt's is very, very important to me. As a matter of fact, I'm helping out now with a capital campaign for fundraising to expand the services of St. Matthew's House. So St. Matt's is very important to me, and I want to give a little more time to that. The second thing, as you well know, is pro-life is very, very important to me because we talked about this many times. Life is, it's God's gift. We're made in God's image and likeness. And we have an obligation to respect God's gift of life and to speak up clearly and loudly as to what our society is doing to unfortunately, to destroy life, to destroy the image of God, especially with government money, Planned Parenthood, confusion in the schools as to what is good and what is bad. Action for Life is one of those, I call it an umbrella organization because it goes the gamut from conception. We talked about embryos a couple of weeks ago, from conception until natural death. And how are we going to use our energy and our time and our talents to get the message of life across, to establish a culture of life, to overcome the culture of death?
I think there's an important point there that sometimes people view Action for Life as an anti-abortion organization. Well, we are certainly opposed to abortion,
right,
but we are concerned with the sanctity of life, right, from the embryo to natural death.
Right.
And as I'm sure many viewers know, and you and I know very well, last year we brought Jim Caviezel to Naples to generate some money and to generate some awareness for the human trafficking, largely sex trafficking issue that exists right here in Collier County and many other initiatives.
What was so great about that was, we got a tremendous audience for that. His talk was fantastic. And we made money and tell BC, what did we do with the money?
Well, we gave a good portion of the money to Shelter.
Wings of Shelter.
Wings of Shelter International, which is a group of homes in Lee County. They're going to open in Collier County at some point, but right now they're in Lee County, where underage girls who have been rescued from sex trafficking can live and be rehabilitated. So, and I'd love to tell you who we're negotiating for this year, Father, but
you're not going to tell.
Yet.
Not yet. Wait, folks, hold on to your seats. Wait until you hear. I can say no more.
We think we've got a big one coming.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was huge. So, folks, you can see, being a priest for me it's just been fun. And it's been great. It's been enriching. And I had an old pastor once, he would say to me, Mike, I would rather fight than switch. I love being a priest.
Well, we love you, Father, and boy, you're important in my life, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
And on that note, we'll see you again next week, same time, same place. I'm BC Cloutier. Thank you for joining us, and God bless.